therefore the muscles we want to be strong and we're looking to develop for our golf game are getting weak, leads to injuries. Okay, so we're looking at how can we educate people correctly to lift correctly, because strength is a key factor to the golf game. Okay, but you need to be educated in the correct way to lift in order to strengthen the right muscles. Okay, and avoid injury. It's a key kind of component of that, is avoiding the injuries. And specialization. We highly discourage early specialization in golf. Okay, really, again, that's kind of what I mentioned at the start. People that tend to kind of focus on one sport and avoid other sports, they really don't develop skill acquisition in many areas that they require. Okay, again, when I was down in Florida just this week, we were at the World Golf Fitness Summit in Orlando, and I was listening to a few of the world experts in kind of fitness and junior fitness, and a lot of what they were telling me was that the leading sports stars that are coming through college just now really didn't specialize in their sport until maybe their senior year at high school. And one of the examples I remember was Sam Bradford as a quarterback at St. Louis. Okay. He actually didn't specialize in being a quarterback at all until his senior year at college. At high school. He played a number of sports, played soccer, I even believe he played golf, so the gentleman told me. He played a number of sports, and once he got to his senior year, he's like, you know, his coach told him, you're a good quarterback, I want you to really focus in on this area, keep focusing on that area, but he'd already learned skill development in many other areas that helped him become that athlete that he is now. And it's a key component to be using different skill sets from different sports to develop that. Okay, like you see, there are some of the things that happen when if you're specialising in a sport before. What PHV stands for is peak height velocity, which basically means when you go through your biggest growth spurt. Okay, that's what we tend to see. We see overuse injuries because again you're focusing on set muscle groups that aren't strong enough to develop over the amount of stress you're putting on them. Early burnout, physical imbalances, and poor functional movement development. Here we talk a little about windows of training. I'm going to spend too long on this. Really kind of looks at the kind of how your development occurs as you kind of go through growing through your junior years and what we want to focus on at certain points. Again, there's certain issues that we want to look at, certain factors that will influence what we want to train at certain ages. These are the 5 S's that we kind of look at: stamina, strength, speed, skill, and suppleness. There's different times that we want to train those areas, mainly because you have optimal chance to develop them quicker, faster than you would at later ages. Okay, again, I'm not saying you can't develop speed at the age of 19. Of course you can. But there's certainly a lot of science that suggests that if you work through a certain age period, for example, 7 to 9 years old is the first age that you want to really focus in on developing speed. Then it's maybe a little later into kind of sort of 12 years old that you start again looking at more dynamic speed. There's windows of trainability that can really optimize your chance to develop these aspects of fitness. Again, I'm just going to quickly go through this just mainly for you to have a little look at some of the ideas. So again, we think when I was talking about the idea of how many of you have really focused in on golf fitness, you may have looked at this in different sports. If you've played a number of sports, there's a good chance that you will develop speed playing a lot of field sports, field hockey, tennis is a good one for acceleration, okay, soccer. All these sports are really good at developing these speeds. Those ages are the ages you really want to kind of focus in on those aspects there. I know a lot of you are thinking, well, it's a little too late for me now. Okay. Another point. Okay. Really what I'm trying to get with that is, if you think back to what you've done, you probably developed these during those windows. Okay, unless you were sitting at home playing video games from 7 to 9 years old if you're a boy, or 6 to 8 years old as a girl, you probably have developed these speed skills. Okay? The key there is, if you think back to what I mentioned just a few minutes ago, is you've got to keep training those speed skills. If you stop training the speed skills, so now you're 15, 16, 17 years old, and now you're playing video games and you're not out there working on your speed, you're going to lose that skill acquisition. It will start deteriorating. I'm sure as most of the parents will tell you, not as fast as we used to be. Okay? If you've got potential to be as fast as you are as a junior, you continue to work. Okay? It's important what you develop. Again, there's another little part of that there again, looking at what we develop at window 1, window 2. These are sort of things that you work on as you develop them through. Stamina, same sort of idea. and there's windows of trainability for stamina when we want to work on endurance, and it really all depends on where your growth spurt is. Okay? There's going to be a slide in a little bit that I'm going to get to. It kind of looks at just because you're 14 years old doesn't mean you're the same as every other 14-year-old in the room. Okay? You may have shot up in your growth spurt early, you may be later. Okay? You may be real short and all your friends are a lot taller than you. That doesn't mean you're not going to be tall. It just means that you're not at that growth, that peak height velocity yet. You've still got a lot of growing ahead of you. Okay? Depending on those growth spurts, really focusing where we want to try and train things. Strength, same sort of idea. Once you, basically what we see here is after peak height velocity, so once you've gone through that growth spurt, that's kind of where we want to start looking at strength training. And that's where we tend to see a lot of high school coaches really focusing on getting the kids to kind of work on their strength. But what I'm seeing a lot of is incorrect strength training. It's important to get the right, correct strength training, do it correctly, educate yourself on how to lift weights. And therefore we see also skill training. Again, that's why I asked at the beginning, what age did you pick up golf? Okay, most of you picked it up before that age. Okay, so you were learning skills, and particularly during that age, I mentioned how many before 9 years old. If you started before 9 years old, you hit the skill window. You were honing your skills during that time. Okay, which is again a key factor. But then when you start a job, once you finish college, you don't want to, again, if you stop playing golf like I did for 4 or 5 years, you go back, your game's gone like this. Okay, you want to continue on the skill development of what you're doing. Okay, it's important to maintain your skills, continue training. And lastly, supplements. I would recommend folks seeing the picture there, but certainly supplements is something that you gain early. A lot of people go through, as a young child, sports that require supplements. You do gymnastics, you do, again, a lot of young kids these days are doing a lot of soccer and sort of things that require a lot of supplements in your movements you require. Supplements, again, you can take through life and will help you develop your body and help you develop the supplements required, again, in golf. Again, I see a lot of injuries occur because people just didn't have that supplements, they didn't develop it at an early age. And there's what we see with, again, sorry girls, I only put the one for boys here, but really what we see there with the growth velocity is the red line tracks where you are growing at a certain age. So we can see that for boys, the red line around about 13 years old tends to be where boys shoot up in height, develop their body better, and therefore we can see what we want to train at each of those levels. Okay, we see strength right at the end there, mainly because we're really slowing down in our growth at that age. Okay, we can therefore, we're not going to hinder anything, we're not going to get any problems if we're developing our strength sort of 16 to 18 years old. Okay. Long-term athletic development phases. So this is now looking more so at programs that we run. Okay, or programs that you see out there, again developed by Type Performance Institute, developed by the Royal Canadian Golf Association. This is how we kind of see things starting from the bottom. I said the ground level up, active start, fundamentals. Like you say, a lot of people skip certain levels of this. The Gilchrist Academy workout, we went back to working on some of the fundamentals. A lot of these players are at this level. That's where they want to be, that's where they expect to be. But if they've not mastered each of these levels, we have to step back a little bit. It may only be for a short period of time, but we've got to master those levels to get up to that excel. Okay, and that's, I'm pretty sure that's where most of you're heading towards, is that excel. Okay, that's playing college golf. Okay, reaching your goals, reaching what you're aiming for. You want to go through each of these stages, develop that. Again, these are some of the processes, the training programs that we can look at, and the skill development and the functional movement development that we require to do this. Again, we call this the Cyclone program. Okay, there's 12 different areas we look at in the Cyclone program. Okay, each one just as important as the other. Until I see competence in each of those skills, I don't progress the golfer on to the next level. Okay. Again, the exercise we have will vary depending on your age. I'm not going to ask, again, I've seen 16-year-olds do the Cyclone program, I've seen 7-year-olds do the program. That doesn't mean I'm giving 16-year-olds, 7-year-old exercises for 7-year-olds. It means I'm working on that aspect of their game, their fitness. Okay, so core strength for a 7-year-old is very different from core strength for a 16-year-old.